But I had a cousin that was this hairy, big-footed guy who showed up when he shouldn't have been. And so that's where the cousin piece came in. But the Gus story actually came in, and the reason I want to tell this story is because this gets to the point of my chat tonight. It's a little bit about humility and service. And that's why we're here. That's why we're here in Rotary. That's why we're here tonight, to celebrate our accomplishments, to celebrate Katie's year, and to celebrate Joe's coming year. And it has to do with service. And in my humble opinion, humility. Because humility is what, again, in my opinion, drives us to do the things we do in life. So my story, and I love telling this story because you can't make this stuff up in a cop world, let me tell you. So about 8 months into my illustrious career, I'm working as a deputy sheriff in Southern Oregon, out in a place called the Illinois Valley. It's right up against the California border, Southern Oregon, California border. It's the epitome of the 1960s and 70s hippie era. Everybody there has hair down to the floor. They're growing dope all across the mountain. It is, I'm telling you, it's hippie central. It's the epitome of hippie central. A lot of folks look a lot like Gus. And so I get this call. Again, I'm brand new. I'm 8 months into this thing. I think I know what I'm doing. You know, I'm not the smallest kid in town. But in this particular evening, in the Illinois Valley, again, the worst place in the county to work. So they put the new guy out there by himself on graveyard. You either learn it or you lose it. And so you either learn to talk and you learn to fight. And that's, unfortunately, in my profession, that's what you got to learn to do to survive. So, Brandt, you're in the Illinois Valley. So I'm out there, get a call, a domestic violence call that's in progress, single wide trailer out in the middle of nowhere, go out there, and I'm, okay, it's another call, so I'm on my way. My sergeant comes on, and he says, hey, that's Gus and his girl. They're heroin addicts, they drink a little bit, you know, most of the time, you separate them, send her to bed, put him on the couch, put him to sleep, and you're good. All right, sounds great. So that's in my mind as I'm rolling up on this house by myself. And what I forgot to tell you is that my closest backup was about 30 minutes away, lights and siren, about 45 miles away through the mountains. I have no backup. There's nobody coming to help me anytime soon if it goes bad. So I show up to this single wide trailer, beautiful, beautiful little abode, Southern Oregon. As I pull up, it's about 3 in the morning, so you know it's a quiet evening. I get out of the car, and I'm already hearing a woman screaming for her life that he's trying to kill me, he's trying to kill me. So, all right, well, maybe they're not fighting over the remote tonight. So I get out of the car, and I get up to the door. I pull the door open, and I'm looking at about a 220-pound St. Bernard, literally. And he's frothing at the mouth because all the goings on inside there. And so what do I do? I shut the door. I want nothing to do with it. In my 8 months career at this point, I've already been bitten 3 times by dogs because, you know, cops that seem to get bitten by dogs because we crawl around people's house at night and they don't like it. So I'm pretty gun shy with dogs at this point. And now I'm looking at Hercules. His name really was Hercules. So I'm looking at Hercules and I'm like, all right, she's about to die. I got Hercules. I can leave now and act like I never showed up and couldn't find the place. That was one option. But Sarge already knows I'm here, so all right, I got to figure out something to do. So I figured the only way I'm going to get in this house is if I get Hercules out, because I'm not going to deal with Hercules. So what do? I crawl up these 2 steps, I rattle the door a few times, get him really spun up, which I'm thinking this is going to be really bad or really good. I'm going to give it a shot. So Hercules is fired up, I get him riled up, and just about the time he thinks he's going to chew on the door, I open the door, step aside, out Hercules goes, down the steps looking for me, and of course I scoot around and close the door. Pretty damn good move right there. Good move. Got Hercules out, and I'm worried about him now. About that time, I look down the hallway and I see Cousin Gus. Cousin Gus is 100% naked, 100% hairy, and he's carrying an axe about 4.5 feet long that the Forest Service issued him when he was with the Forest Service. And he's tearing down the door this single white trailer trying to get to his girlfriend. So one thing my daddy, the state trooper, taught me, he said, son, Never bring an axe to an axe fight. Always bring a gun to an axe fight. So I had one option, and I unholstered my weapon and ordered Gus. I knew his name was Gus. I ordered Gus to stop what he was doing and let's talk about this. So Gus turns around and sees me, and he's in a tither right now. He's obviously high on something. So naked Gus is standing at the end of that hallway looking at me holding this axe. And I'm thinking, this is going to go either really good or really bad really quick. So I tell Gus, put the axe down, and we'll all get out of here alive. Nobody will get hurt. This is called this a good day. And so, of course, I've already called for some backup because obviously I'm going to need some help on this one. So at least that was the smartest thing I did, was to call for some backup, get them started. And so Gus decides, and I'm telling you, Gus was about a half a second away from being done that night, unfortunately. And so Gus decides to take one more swing with that axe, and he spins around and sticks that axe right back in that door, and it gets stuck. And so I'm like, all right, holster the weapon, and I'm going to go hands-on with hairy, naked Gus. So now, country boy and hairy, naked Gus are going at it in the hallway. And I finally get him handcuffed up, and I get him dragged down the hallway. And I'm thinking, I'm pretty darn good. Look, 8 months on, I got me a naked man in custody. Thinking he's going to jail. So he's fighting around a little bit. And the thing about Gus had, like I said, he had hair down to his backside. So, that's a handle where I come from. So I've got Gus by the hair, got him handcuffed. I'm walking him back down the hallway. And I get him about in the middle of the living room. I've got Gus just like this. About that same time, I hear the door open down that hall that I forgot all about, girlfriend. And now she's not happy. So she comes out of that room, equally as hairy, equally as naked, and she gets that axe out of that door and thinks that she's going to get husband or get boyfriend back. So now I got Squirrel over here trying to fight because now he thinks, all right, I got two of us. And so he wants to get squirrely. And so I'm yelling at him. The more I yell, the more I pull on his hair, the more I tip his head back to the sky. And she gets that darn axe out of that door. And so here I am back to him, and now I've got my pistol out again, aiming it at her, keep her at bay. And she decides she's going to stop and think about this too, because this is not looking real well for her evening either. And so I'm thinking, okay, I'm really needing some backup now because I'm out of hand and I've got nowhere to go. And I'm not going outside because I know what's out there.
That's right.
So as I sit there and I'm trying to calm everybody down, everybody's screaming, everybody's yelling, she wants me, he wants to escape. You stand there and I can hear the sirens getting close, so I know this is taking a little bit of time to get there. So what happens now is Hercules decides that whatever's happening inside is bad. And the blue lights that are showing up outside are bad. And so Hercules decides he's big enough to break down that front door. And that's exactly what Hercules did. Hercules came through that front door while I'm still holding this knucklehead. I still got my pistol on her. And I can't do anything. I can't do a darn thing except stand there and watch Hercules come right behind me and launch right into my backside. And he chomped onto me like an alligator in a Louisiana swamp and started to tear and roll at me. And again, I can't do anything. I certainly can't let him go. I certainly got to keep my sights on her down there. She's got the axe. And so I continue to scream at him to get the dog off. But what I'm not realizing again is I'm continuing to pull his hair, and he's bent over like a pretzel now. And so I finally realized I got to let him breathe. And so I let him up. He whistles to get the dog off. The dog takes about 2 more shakes and rips my pants right off of me. Now, there's an image going through your mind, I can tell. I got naked Gus, I got naked whatever her name is, and now I have no pants on. But I'm standing there in the same place I was, same position I was, about the same time that my sergeant and state trooper coming, of course, the back door behind me. And so I look back there, and they start laughing. And I'm thinking, what the hell are they laughing for? This is a serious situation here. I got a man in custody, I got a woman with an axe, got my gun out, things are bad. And so they start laughing. And of course, the state trooper goes down and takes care of her, gets her in custody, and Sarge takes care of him. And, you know, Hercules was running off with my pants, and I'm bleeding. It was an awful night. I tell you this story again, and I show you Gus for a reason, because when you think about things that happen in your life that are humiliating, it humbles you to a point that you sometimes take yourself back and think about what really matters. So I took Gus to jail that night without any pants, sat on a towel. What do you do? I mean, he had to go to jail, so I was the guy to take him to jail. So Gus went to jail that night. I went to the hospital, got sewn up, got a pair of gym shorts, and went home and finished my shift. And I went back to Gus, his house, and his girlfriend several times over the next couple of years. Arrested him several more times. And every single time that I took those two to jail, again, we're talking heroin addicts, this is their life. And every time I took them to jail, they remembered that night that it did not end for them. As crazy as it was, as hilarious as the story is, they remembered that night. And they were very much aware that both of them could have and probably should have died at one point, but didn't. And that's the service piece that police officers go through, that I went through personally. And it makes me think, when we do our projects, when we do our events, when we help folks, that sometimes understanding the humility in life and understanding that people will remember the service that we give them. They will remember it. Even the folks that need it the most, the Gus's of the world, they will remember it. And it's incumbent upon us, as we continue to write our story, as we continue to be the directors of our movie, that we think about writing that chapter. Whatever that chapter is of service that you can provide, that you write it into your chapter, write it into your movie. That's what I got. Gus, I think it's time to go. Thank you, everybody.